The arrival of the first lords. Before the dawn of mankind, before the first city rose from the dust, before even the stars had settled into their eternal dance, there was war. Not a war of men, but a war of beings so powerful that their very names could bend the fabric of reality. They came from the outer worlds, celestial architects who had shaped countless civilizations across the galaxies. Among them stood one whose name would one day be whispered in fear and reverence, Azur-El, the last son of the first fire. He was not born of flesh, nor bound by time as lesser beings were. Azur-El was among the elders of the throne, an order of divine entities tasked with overseeing the development of sentient life across the stars. But as eons passed, he grew restless. He desired more than mere guardianship. He sought dominion. And so, when the elders decreed that a new world, Terra, was to be cultivated, Azur-El saw an opportunity. He would claim it, reshape it, and mold its inhabitants to worship him alone. But he was not the only one with such ambitions. The war for Terra. The first battle for Earth was not fought with crude weapons, but with the very forces of the cosmos. Those loyal to the elders, commanders such as Zan-Kel, the Keeper of Light, and Varesh, guardian of the sacred realms, descended upon Terra in radiant vessels, prepared to defend it. But Azur-El had already set his plan in motion. He aligned himself with the Drakari, an ancient race from the Veiled Nebula, known for their mastery of genetic manipulation and soul-binding rituals. In secret, he and his allies constructed the Celestial Spire, an enormous conduit of power buried deep beneath what is now the Great Rift Valley. From there, he drew upon the raw energy of Terra itself, bending its frequencies, rewriting its codes. As the First Great War raged, the surface of Terra burned. The atmosphere cracked with fire as beings of light and shadow clashed, their celestial blades rending the sky. The oceans churned with the impact of their battles, and entire mountains rose and fell in the span of moments. The war lasted for centuries, its echoes carried through the fabric of space. But in the end, Azur-El was defeated. The elders, with their combined might, sealed him away beneath Terra, trapping him within the Temple of Ashes, a vast subterranean prison where his essence would remain buried for eons. His followers, scattered, were left to wander, cursed to watch as mankind rose from the ashes of their master's ambition. But warlords never stay buried forever. The birth of mankind and the Silent Watchers. The elders, weary from war, turned their attention back to Terra, setting in motion the grand experiment of mankind. They breathed life into the first ones, shaping them in their image. These were not mere mortals, but beings of pure potential, creatures capable of wielding the lost knowledge of the universe. Yet even as they cultivated their new creation, the remnants of Azur-El's rebellion lingered. Some of his lieutenants, now reduced to spectral forms, remained hidden in the deep places of the earth, whispering secrets to those who would listen. The first civilizations, Atal-Kesh, Urathan, and the obsidian city of Carthan, rose under the guidance of the elders. Towers of light reached into the heavens, and men spoke in tongues that could shake the fabric of time. But mankind, for all its divine inheritance, was still flawed. They sought power, they craved dominion, and in their hunger, they did not recognize the silent watchers in the dark. Beneath the great pyramids, in the lost temples of the Hollow Sea, and deep within the ice vaults of the north, the echoes of Azur-El stirred. His name, long forgotten, began to surface once more. The rise of the Blood Kings. It began as whispers among the high priests, then as visions in the dreams of kings, a voice calling from beyond the veil, offering knowledge forbidden even to the gods. Azur-El, though imprisoned, had found a way to reach into the minds of men. The first Blood King, Sath-Kor, Lord of the Scarlet Crown, was the first to listen. He sought the power promised to him, and in exchange, he was granted dominion over the 7 cities of the Crescent Veil. His armies, unlike any before them, were fused with the essence of the Celestial Spire, their bodies immortalized through rituals lost to time. With the Blood Kings at his command, Azur-El's influence spread, weaving itself into the very fabric of human history. Every great empire, every war, every secret society that would ever rise in the shadows, each bore the mark of his long dormant will. But the elders were not blind. The second war of the heavens, The Watchers, celestial agents left behind to guard mankind, knew the truth. If Azur-El was not stopped, Terra itself would become his kingdom. And so once more, the heavens opened and the war began anew. But this time, mankind was caught in the crossfire. The great civilizations of the past, the Atlantean Dominion, the Red Tower of Sarnath, the Hollow Kingdom of the Nine Lords, each fell as the war raged. The gods fought over Terra like wolves over a dying star, and in their wrath, they shattered the world. Oceans rose, cities sank. The once proud lineage of the first ones was broken, scattered, reduced to mere shadows of what they had been. The truth was, the arrival of the forgotten king. A shadow loomed over the horizon. Not the shadow of nightfall or storm, but something far older, far more insidious. The weight of a forgotten god reclaiming his dominion. Marduk had returned. He had once been a king, a warlord of the heavens, born of divine blood, but cast down by treachery. His reign had been mighty, his power unquestioned, yet the gods themselves had conspired against him. Enlil, his uncle and eternal rival, had seen to it that Marduk was stripped of his celestial throne, entombed beneath stone, his name erased from the records of the great ones. But time is a wheel, and even gods cannot escape its turning. For eons, Marduk had been nothing more than a whisper in the ruins of Babylon, a forgotten deity locked in the tomb of the Great Pyramid, until now. His name had never truly died. It had lingered in the breaths of priests, hidden in the prayers of kings who invoked him without knowing the true weight of the word they uttered. Amen. And through that word, through that unbroken chain of devotion, his spirit had endured. Now, as the last remnants of the old world crumbled beneath the march of a new era, the time had come to reclaim what was his. But he was not alone. There were forces at play in the universe, forces that had conspired against him before and would do so again. The gods of Orion had not forgotten. The war among the stars. Before the age of men, before the rise of empires, there was war. A war that did not begin on Earth, but among the stars, where the great factions of the cosmos battled for dominion over worlds uncounted. Marduk had been a prince of the Anunnaki, a warrior of the Omicron faction, aligned with the Nibiruians in their conquest of the cosmic gates. He had fought alongside his father, Enki, against the tyrannical rule of Enlil's forces, but the war was never about justice. It was about control, and the gods had no mercy. From the black depths of Alpha Draconis came the reptilian warlords, ancient and calculating, seeking dominion over the younger races. From the Orion belt, the luminous ones, the Kumaras, the keepers of order, descended with their decree that the universe must remain balanced. But Marduk had never bowed to balance. He had fought, bled, conquered, and for a time he had won. He had claimed the title of Supreme Commander of Earth, ruling from Babylon, his name inscribed upon the pillars of time itself, until they betrayed him. The warlords of Orion whispered into the ears of Enlil's priests, turning them against him. The Pleiadian council, sworn to neutrality, abandoned him to his fate. Even his father Enki hesitated, unable to defy the will of the Supreme Anunnaki Assembly, and so they came for him. Marduk was seized, bound in chains forged from the core of dying stars, and cast into the Great Pyramid, a prison designed not just to hold his body, but to sever his connection to the divine. A god buried alive. The prison of time. For centuries, Marduk remained entombed. The pyramid, once a conduit of celestial energy, became his cage. Its walls hummed with an ancient power that absorbed his strength, draining him, weakening him. He raged. He struck the stone, but the prison had been built for one purpose, to break him. And it almost did. He dreamt of his kingdom, of Babylon's streets once filled with his loyal followers, now silent beneath the weight of forgotten history. He dreamt of Sarpanit, his mortal queen, whose voice had once soothed the fires of his fury. He saw her pleading before the council of the gods, begging for his life, but the gods did not listen. Marduk felt himself slipping away, his essence dissolving into the void, until only one thing remained. A name. His name. It was whispered across the world, hidden in the tongues of those who still unknowingly served him. It echoed in the halls of secret societies, in the rituals of priests who ended their prayers without knowing to whom they truly spoke. Amen. That was the key. That was how he endured, and that was how he would return. The rise of Amun-Ra. When the pyramid was unsealed, the world had changed. Empires had risen and fallen, and now Egypt stood as the jewel of civilization. Marduk emerged from the darkness, no longer the forgotten god, but Amun-Ra, the hidden one. His return was not met with war, but with reverence. The pharaohs bowed before him, the high priests surrendered their temples Moloch, and his name was once again carved into the hearts of men. But power is never freely given. There were those who resisted. The old gods of Kemet, Thoth, Osiris, Ptah, had their loyalists, priests who saw Amun-Ra as a usurper, and among them was one who would change the course of history. Akhenaten, the son of Marduk, born of his secret union with the queen of Egypt, was no mere mortal. He carried the blood of gods, the fire of divinity in his veins. And he was not content to rule as his ancestors had. He sought to erase the old ways, to forge a kingdom where only one god reigned, his father Amun-Ra. The temples of the old gods were shattered, the priests of Enlil, of Osiris, of Thoth, cast down, their statues broken, their names erased. In their place, only one name remained, Amun-Ra. But the gods do not forget, and the war that had begun among the stars was not over. The final war. The Orion factions watched from the shadows. The Enlilites, the followers of the ancient laws, could not allow Marduk to reign unchecked. They whispered to the high priests. They moved their chosen warriors into place. And the rebellion began. It was not fought with swords, nor with armies, but with something far greater. Knowledge. The priests of the old gods unearthed ancient secrets, truths hidden in the sacred texts that spoke of the deception of Amun-Ra. They revealed that his promise of immortality to the pharaohs was a lie, that the celestial gates were not pathways to ascension but prisons of the soul. The people turned, the rebellion spread, and Marduk, the god who had defied the heavens, found himself once again at war. This time, there would be no return. The last battle was fought not on earth, but beyond it. In the chambers of the celestial council, where the fates of gods and men were decided, the decree was given. Marduk, the usurper, the conqueror, the god who had defied the heavens themselves, was to be banished, not to the depths of a pyramid, but to the cycle of mortality itself. The eternal cycle. And so Marduk fell. Stripped of his divinity, cast into the endless cycle of rebirth, he walked the earth not as a god, but as a man, forgotten yet always present, wandering yet never truly lost. And still his name lingers, a whisper in the prayers of kings, a word spoken at the end of every supplication, a name that has never truly died. Because gods do not perish, they wait, and Marduk is waiting.